Hello and welcome back to Digital Assets Daily. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in your corner of the world. XRP sees a drop in dynamic addresses. Question is, are investors giving up or simply hodling? The trader and investor Crypto Rand shared some of his charts showing that XRP has seen a reduction in the number of dynamic addresses by 83.3%. compared to 14 other influential currencies in the crypto market. A person has a dynamic address when their wallet provider generates one with every new transaction they make. This is important for privacy as it prevents all transactions from being associated or traced to one single user. The use of a static address occurs when no changes are made after a transaction. And this is the case, for example, with certain exchanges that give each person a specific address for depositing funds. In this way, all those who want to send funds to that user will have the same address. So anyone can track all of the money sent and received by that user. The famous cryptocurrency analysts showed the decline of XRP in comparison to the most influential cryptocurrencies on the market. And there are now 29,208 less dynamic addresses than last month. Such a major drop could be indicative that many investors are withdrawing their assets from exchanges and moving them into personal wallets, as the XRP total capitalization has not yet been quite affected. On the other hand, the number of Ethereum addresses increased by more than 22%, showing the high acceptance it's having due to the increasing use of its blockchain for decentralized financed DeFi applications. However, this drop in dynamic addresses means little to nothing for Ripple. XRP remains its market capitalization of 7.8 billion USD, and it remains the third largest cryptocurrency in the market, and Ripple keeps its periodic and profitable practice of selling huge amounts of XRP every quarter with positive results for the ecosystem, but perhaps not as good for long-term hodlers. My thoughts on that I will give in just a moment. Meanwhile, some of the world's leading exchanges such as Kraken, Bitfinex, and Paxful increased their user base by up to 100% during March. Is the interest of investors towards XRP declining, or are they anticipating for the next bull run to see their investments grow? Many traders and investors believe that the next BTC halving could trigger a major bull run that subsequently leads to the so desired alt season. However, the crypto markets are yet to see if the bullish sentiment associated with the halving can beat the fear introduced after the issue at hand. Because as you know, we cannot discuss this on YouTube or we're demonetized and further. So don't want any videos deleted. So you're probably not going to hear that from any content provider on YouTube if you're following your screen at this moment. Okay, my thoughts on this article. The Bitcoin halving, according to Bitcoin magazine, or Bitcoin, I'm totally blanking, sorry, the Bitcoin website. Their thoughts are this halving is actually going to lower the price or have a more of a negative effect on Bitcoin. But even on their site, they're stating that it should have a very positive effect on the price of XRP. Another thing too, I've had a Kraken account for probably, I don't know, a couple years, 3 or 4 years it seems. And I've never used it, only because at the time we had the Binance Regular, which has an excellent professional platform. It is my favorite, but after we were removed last September, being a U.S. resident, we had to pretty much the only option at the time was Binance US for certain states, and it is not available in Florida for all of my Florida subscribers. But Kraken, originally one of the Ripple guys as well, and the site is pretty well. I mean, a lot of people that use it have a lot of high remarks and compliments in regards to the site. I personally cannot say either way, but we can say that he was part of the original Ripple team, so I'm sure they're very good. Just the things that they do offer is just as easy to get from Coinbase. My thoughts on this here. I believe a lot of people are actually prepared for the bull run that's coming up. As we've shared on this channel for a long time, I think we're probably one of 2 or 3 people in the community that even stayed this. Probably one of the at least top 2 in the entire XRP community, because no one describes the entire 4-year cycle that we have for bull runs in the entire community, or in the entire crypto community, all of them inclusive. Obviously it began 2009, and then we had 2013, 2017. The next cycle is 2021. So now I think a lot of people are getting prepared for that. I think, in my opinion, not intended to offend anyone, but I think a lot of the tension that comes is from these riddlers. They're 100% of the time inaccurate. Although I personally, I enjoy them from time to time, but I think the damage they're doing to the XRP community is getting people overhyped and not realizing. They continue to say January 1st, the end of January, the beginning of February, another week, another hour, another 2 weeks, another 6 months, another 3 days. It's like all over the place, and every time they're wrong, they just push the date further down the road. But I believe they're just getting too many people over-invested. Those people are getting very tense, not understanding there is a time frame for investment, and 4 years is a very fast return on investment, the ROI for typical investing period, much less the percentages we get in cryptocurrencies. For example, XRP having moved, according to Brad Garlinghouse, words repeating, as we've shared on our Twitter page, in 22 days, XRP moved over 36,000% increase for the positive. That's pretty massive. And like they say here, if you cannot handle the 95% drop, then there's no way you can handle the 36,000% increase. So be patient. I say this and take a little time to focus on this because a lot of tension on other issues that are happening around the world right now, ones we can't state by name, is literally affecting the entire globe as we're facing this financial crisis of liquidity in all of the banking institutions at this time, which we're facing now with the current reset. So be patient, relax. It could happen overnight, absolutely. My point is with this, I still say, again, it has to happen because they've already designed it to happen this year. So we know the earliest date available now that has been stated would be April 15th. We know the U.S. presidential election is around, for the timeline for that would be November, meaning the latest for this date. And I think obviously it's needed now. So if they did it now, even though it feels early for an election year, it would be perfect timing because it's a necessity. And we're going to get into an article explaining that in our next video. But my final thought with that is I believe the reason they're saying the addresses have changed, people are putting it into their wallets, they're putting it into their cold storage because they know the value of XRP, they know the price. And again, as David Schwartz has said many times over, the value of XRP at 10,000 per XRP puts the first drop, having 1 million drops, at 1 cent. And he said again, if the value of XRP were at $1 million per XRP, the first drop would be $1. So again, we have those examples from him stated over and over to understand what XRP value could eventually achieve, knowing what they're intending to do with this, and they're intending to go into the derivative markets, which is absolutely massive. If you have not looked at the comparative size comparison for remittance market and all of the other different global markets, all the way to derivatives, feel free to check it out. And who knows, we might just actually add that to the next video as well, because it's very massive. It will actually get you very excited in your investment into XRP. Next article to discuss the Ripple price analysis. XRP breaks past the 18-cent level and heads to some key technical areas. We've seen that climb today. Earlier when I checked, it was, I believe, 18.28. I'm not sure off the top of my head what it is right now. Let me just check so we can have an accurate little timestamp on the price going into, let's grab Coinbase. Everyone's familiar with that. Current price is 17.77 cents. Obviously, Coinbase always rounds it up to 18. So we're sitting right on that mark there. Because if you're going to buy on Coinbase, they tend to round up. But with its ease, you don't mind paying the fees. Ripple trades over 5% higher as most of the crypto majors catch a bid, and top of the consolidation at 18.79 looks like it will be tested next. So that's good. We're about half a cent away from catching the top of the consolidation, and if we break that key a point, we should see, I'm not sure if this article is going to tell us the next resistance. Let me scroll through here. Okay, I guess if we break 18.79 area, then the next major level is going to be 20 cent. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings. If it goes down to 3 cents, people will probably be going to buy tons of XRP. But everyone is excited to just see this thing start running, start going by now, especially some of the long-term investors ready to just see it roll and move on. So I guess if we hit 18.79, that's kind of a key factor to watch out for today. Then the next level will be the 20 cent mark. Next article, we have the institutional crypto Custodian Anchorage adds custody support for Ripple's XRP. And again, like anyone else, the next 30 days, who knows what's going to happen on any content provider show. I mean, myself, I have 4 kids, so at any moment they could come flying out and screaming, making a challenging show. And I have 2 dogs, so who knows if they go crazy. But either which way, we're going to keep doing the shows. I mean, I've done these shows through times when I wasn't feeling amazing, middle of the night, middle of the morning, talking over in Germany, talking over in the West Coast I'm in the EST time. So we've had shows on all kinds of different time frames and time zones, and running businesses, it keeps me very busy. And then a family of 6 definitely takes up a lot more of my other time. So I want to keep pushing through for you guys. I'm giving a little bit more of my personal as I get a little uncomfortable sharing too much of my private life. But I want you guys to know that as hectic as it can get, and it tends to be pretty excessive at the point. If you have children, you're probably doing the homeschooling right now too. So all of the kids are on different computers doing their online class and everything. So it's going to be challenging. Everyone be a little patient and understanding. Everybody's going through tough times and different challenges, but we can get through this. We are resilient as people, and we will win in the end. But the next, back into the article, the Anchorage, an institution-grade crypto custodian firm, has added support for the 3rd largest cryptocurrency, XRP. The firm, which is also one of the founding members of the Libra Association, announced in a blog post today, April 2nd, 2020, that it has started offering custody support for XRP. And the announcement notes that there is a notable ecosystem of institutions that hold XRP cryptocurrency and are in search of a more secure and usable institutional custody. This is where Anchorage comes in, and the firm will ensure that institutions involved in cross-border remittances have secure storage for their XRP. And anything connected to XRP, especially cross-border remittances, the keywords are always going to be enterprise, institution, and wholesale, as that is what it's focused on by design. And as I've always said, in my opinion, that is the best place to be for the highest dollar value. And that is why I continue to say here on this channel that we believe, as David Schwartz says over and over again, it has to have a high price, it has to have a high value. Doesn't make sense, especially if you understand enterprise, institution, and wholesale side of the banking and central bank financial institutions. That is where the higher volume of price and value is processed and sent through the remittance markets and the derivatives, etc. I'm trying my best to explain a lot more than normal, because now that we have not only the long-term investors that watch the show, but we do have a lot of new people literally who just starting today that I've had many private conversations with, and they would like me to explain a little bit clearly to them as they understand the bare minimum. So bear with us as we get through this. We're trying to make this show more informative for everyone. And again, we thank you guys for all of your support, for everyone who has been here and helped this channel grow so quickly. For example, Ripple's Chief Garlinghouse, which is Brad Garlinghouse, revealed in February that roughly 54 million in XRP remittances was sent between the US and Mexico within the first week of that month. Remarkably, XRP was the only large cap crypto in the top 3 that was previously not supported by the Custodian. Anchorage's post, published by the co-founder and president Diogo Monica, explained it that the firm had used a number of resources for better understanding of XRP before supporting it. Monica cited that they relied on information from Spring, the Ripple open source server, and also the xrpl.org. The Andreessen Horowitz-backed Custodian firm is ready to add support for more advanced XRP functionality such as payment channels if and when the demand arises. Ripple's developer platform Spring took to Twitter to announce another great addition to the XRP community. Here you have directly from Spring on Twitter, the Anchorage plus XRP. Spring opined that Anchorage's support for XRP will enable its growing roster of enterprise customers to securely store XRP for various use cases. And as we said with the previous article, keywords connecting to XRP are enterprise, institution, and wholesale. Alright guys, we're going to finish off this video with hope. Hold on, pain ends. And as again we get through these challenging times that we're facing today, as the president said yesterday, the next 2 weeks are going to be very, very painful, as he said. And then he followed up with the pain will then end, and then we will go back to a nation and on a global financial level that we have never seen before. And that can easily, as XRP investors, and I will add XLM because they synonymously tend to run the financial system together. And again, as we've shared, that Ethereum, XRP, and XLM are connected to the CBDCs globally. And it's a pretty big thing to me, as I believe, as research has shown, these guys need each other to succeed, as we've shown with the XRP now partnering up with Ethereum. And I believe, again, Ethereum offers the smart contracts that, as research has shown, the XRP doesn't have, maybe through Ripple doesn't have, whichever how that's going to work. Obviously XRP is a currency, Ripple is the financial system that the banks are using. But again, we know that Stellar has its own built-in currency exchange like XRP, and it also has its own smart contracts. And I believe that's why Ripple has focused or partnered with Ethereum on the enterprise, wholesale, and institutional grade to complete it with the smart contracts. And I believe that's why Stellar is focused more on the the retail side of things, and they both do the cross-border. And the 3 levels of financial in the system, for those of you that are new, is wholesale, retail, and cross-border. But again, to me, the cross-border is still needed for both levels, and I believe that's why you have like a wholesale can still do cross-border and a retail can still do cross-border, because as the focus with Stellar, it tends to focus on the underbanked, the unbanked, and the peer-to-peer and peer-to-bank, bank-to-peer, etc. But again, I always have been the biggest fan of XRP since its inception, and I believe it will always have the highest price because it's moving all of the value, all of the currencies, and it would have to have a higher price. Again, guys, this is not financial advice. It is entertainment purposes only, and we'll catch you in the next one.